Hello and welcome back. Alright, first things first, Conan's nose. A little too big here, so we're going to fix that up. Just going to make a little of that light skin tone up. I'm not going to thin it because we want it to cover all this shadow down here. Need to push it up a little further, don't we? Yep. Up there. Cover up some of that shadow area too. Might as well thin that top lip like we need to while we're at it. We might need to move his mouth up a little bit. I think we do, so go ahead. Paint over that as well. Put a little more white paint into that color. It was not quite as light as the rest of his skin, so we'll just kind of match it up here. Okay. Need you. Found one of my, there's the liner I wanted. That might be a little too inky. There we go. I'll put his nose there. Lip line in there. Right. A little more white. I can make that shadowy color up. Okay. Got a little too much shadow on the nostrils there, so we'll just get some of that light skin color again. I'm going to shape that a little bit, alright. Take some of that, more of that shadow color. Get a little sharper line. Alright. Now I need some under his lip. Need a liner again. lines in his face. It's looking a lot better, isn't it? To me, it is. I think it's going to be a little bit brighter, so let's get a little more white. Highlight on that nose. There we go. Now that shade area. Get a little bit more of that red, and then more of the sienna. A little bit of white. More white, I feel. That might end up being too light. I think it is. So, more sienna. More of that crimson. Thin it up. Clean the brush. Color that lip in. Get a little brighter color. Pull that paint, pull that brush flat for this. It's just punch the highlight on the lower lip. Now we need a thick line dividing the lips. There we go. Get a little more permanent red on there because that's all done. Let that brush you all dried up and useless to me. I need a little more of that kind of coppery hair color. A little more red. Fill that. All right. I think that looks enough like Mr. O'Brien to call that good. Mix up a little more skin color here. And we'll get the edges on Gorley's face. That's a little too dark in it. I think it is, so we're gonna mix in some white. That'd be a good shadow color, but for his overall skin tone, it's just not great. That's better. Maybe get a little more black in there later, but I want to get at least the outline of Gorley's face there. There's one that's a little bigger if it's not too dried up, a little stiff. All right, there's a nice one. And again, like I said the last time I was working on this, don't worry if a little bit of that watercolor outline color blends into the paint because that next layer as well. Make sure to hide that. Just do a light little dust and a color over his eyes there. And now I'm going to take one of these other brushes. Clean up some of these edges. Get a little black and blue over here to make sure there's a little blue. Get a little blackish brown for his hair in there. Let's thin that up some. This will be a little lighter than his actual ending hair color will be. I'm mainly just doing this, getting a little lighter, separate it from that black a little bit. It's also part of the reason that I mixed a little blue into a lot of that black paint, because I knew that Sona and Gorley had some fairly dark colored hair. It would be easier to differentiate between an orange black, which is slightly warmer, and a darker or bluish black, which is cooler. That's the word I'm looking for. Alright, before I put any details into Matt's face, we're gonna block out some of the shadow areas again. He has very, very pronounced chin. So definitely want the shadow for that. Okay, mix that skin color to get an intermediate tone. Just the edges here. that up some again. Right here on the hairline. I can start in his eyes. Like Sona. He has a very darkish brown eyes. Take sienna, a touch black. I bet too much. It's a little more sienna mixed in there. It's actually not dark enough, so we'll get a little more black. I'm also gonna thin that up a little bit. Shade in the corner of his eye. Okay. Pulls in there. Some thinned out black paint again. Other side on the line on the underside of his eyes there. Oh, white paint. Because of course we need our little specular highlights. I think I need a little more white paint than what I had on there. There we go. Okay, take a little of that shadow color. Under his eye. Need hair color for his eyebrows. That went a little too far, but we'll fix it. Okay. Need a little line work around those eyes. Before I worry about that, we're going to mix up the highlight color. First place, I'm going to put a little layer over here under Conan's nose. Try to cover up that previous mouth. No shadow of it. There we go. All right. And a little there for where his nose is. On his cheeks. Right on that chin. Right there. Okay. Shade for his nose. Pretty much right up to the eyebrow. A little thicker in that area. It's a little thinner and a little lighter further down. His nose gets a little wider again. Wider, not wider. Just to be clear. Basic shape of the nose in there. I need to push that line on the other side up a little bit, so yeah, I did have a little glob of paint in there I didn't want. It definitely is a little too light. I think I have a little brush hair on there I need to get off. Yep. There. Now she's gone. Okay. Bring that back up a little bit. Shape the bottom of that nose a little bit. I got that bottom a little too pointed and peaky, and that's not what his nose is shaped like, so that. A little shape on the bottom. feel like, yeah, I put that nose again too far down. So I'm gonna mix up some. Fix that. Okay. Alright, I feel like that nose is in a much better spot, but we're going to put our mouth line in to be safe. Actually, rather than the mouth line, let's get these lines in first. That'll help inform me about where to put the mouth lines. Highlight of his nose, his cheeks here too. Brighten that up just a little. Okay. So a little more darkness under his nose there. Okay, now we can get the mouth line in, smile line, whatever you want to call it. Just about right there. Now we'll get a little of that lip color again. Again, just a hint of the red in there. They're not wearing lipstick, that I know of, guys. And these photos that I'm basing this off of. Basically, for the painting, stitching 3 photos that I found online. One of Sona, one of Matt, and one of Conan. And they all had similar lighting, which makes it easier to put them together. And that's what I'm doing. A little bit of color up top there. And we take a little skin color at the bottom and kind of even that out some. That one I went a little too wide, so we'll get a little bit of that slightly rosy color. Again. I'll get more of that skin color. We'll be back and forth till I like what I see. See, that one works. And that one works. Okay. A little white there with a little color in it again. Little highlight on the lip. A little shade at the bottom of the lip. Shade at the bottom of the mouth. I feel like I need a little duller in that shade at the bottom of the lip. It looks a little too similar to our what's the word I'm looking for? Lip color. So I'm gonna mix kind of a brownish gray. There we go. Separate it out some. Lip color of that. Lip color right there. And a little bit of that light skin tone, right? Okay. Get a few little details in as you're here now. I'm going to use some sienna for that. Alright. Obviously working more on the hair later and then getting his glasses on. That's pretty much it for Goro's face. So let's go ahead and this little neck area there filled in. Black there on that side. Some over there too. Shade color, alright. Ended up a little too much, I think. So we'll just get a little more cyan in there. There we go. Take a little bit of that lighter color again. Needs a little more white in it, doesn't it? Yep. Same thing over here. Conan. A little bit of that highlight there. Okay. shape on Conan's sleeve there. Now I'll do a little more even tone on his shirt. And also, sorry, coming in your neck. It's way too wide there. Thin that up a little bit. Yeah, I need to get a little more over here too. Okay. Alright, now what I'm going to do is scrape myself a little more room on there because I need to mix up a little blue for girl shirt. First thing we're going to do is color. That'll be pretty much just straight blue. Kind of going with that 80s vibe. The collar and the sleeve cuffs are a little darker than the rest of the shirt. So she's gonna it's gonna look like Dr. Zaius' jacket from Planet of the Apes, which if you've ever listened to their pod, you know why. Okay, now I got a lighter blue for his shirt. Just enough brown in there to dull it down a little bit. He's holding something there, so that's why I'm leaving that little line blank. Bigger brush to finish filling it in, don't I? A little more over here. His hand. Now you soft, you are soft. All right, we're going to use you. blue out of there. Get some of that white again now. Get some highlight on Conan's shirt here too. That kind of matches the shadow work on the other stuff. There's the color I want. Sharpen that red line up. Not too far. I got a bad habit of doing that. Clean that off. Get the red out. Back to my blue. Cuff on his shirt there. Mix a little blue so we have. Yeah, I need a little more white in that, don't I? His hand with a thick blue. Move that collar again. Then that area up some. Over here do the same. That over there. Alright, now I need a nice gray. Right about there for now. Then I gray up some. Coming up there. Now we'll need some skin color for his hand again. So I need some clean white for that. Clean that brush, I think. and curve. Okay, you do that pinky. There you go. I'm gonna lightly, somewhat. There we go. A little bit darker than the rest. Obviously, we don't need ridiculous amounts of details on his hand over here. This isn't the focus of the picture, but I mean, we do want some. Definitely enough where people can clearly see it's his hand. Color his thumb there to show that's what it is. A little white on the top of his knuckles there. Where's that gray? I'm gonna mix a little black into that gray. This is to help create some separation. I see something I forgot to add in for Gorley here. Gorley has glasses. You know what that needs? I need a little yellow for highlights on his glasses. Don't mind me just popping a little yellow there. Okay. Good enough. All right. Now leave that sit for a little bit after I just get black right there. Now we're going to do a little work here on Sonia. Guess we need to get some detail on her jacket there. Some highlights, some shadows, the usual. Brown and black. A little more brown in there. Get them dark though. Our shirt. Okay. Mix some red into that brown and black. I'm going to thin it some. That was the wrong color, wasn't it? Maybe not the wrong color, maybe I just used up most of my red in there, so we'll mix a little more in. Still coming kind of gray, so get a much bigger dab in there. There we go. Looking for here some nice sharp lines. All right. And then get a little white to mix in a part of that. A few little highlights here and there. Now we get some sienna and black into the other part. We'll get darker color. A liner here. So cooperate with me. It's not showing up. Let's just get a little more black in there and see if that'll get that contrast to pop a little better. There we go. Definitely need a little more black. I'm not going to put any of those glyphs over here. The reason would be obvious. Actually, put just a little bit on the bottom. And a little bit up in that highlight section. Okay. A little bit of highlights there. All right. Find a nice, clean, flat brush. This guy. Some white. And get a roughly round shape in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just let me see what it is. A little more white. This will be a little gloss on it. I think that'll do. Okay. Now for girly. Maybe out of behind his head, I feel like. Gray. Gotta mix a little brown. I think I'll mix a little more white. Maybe even a little more white. I'm just gonna kind of put in, again, a little shape. Item he's holding behind his head. Not necessarily behind his head, but behind him. For now. Oh, put a few little deets over on Conan here. Now, Conan isn't wearing glasses. Conan is wearing two horn-rimmed monocles. Get some chains on him later. Highlights on the glass here and there. I feel like we should do that over on Corley's glasses as well. Okay. Feel those chains. Get a warm steel look going for him. No, you know what? We're gonna get a kind of goldish color. a shirt there later. All right. Same kind of deal going over here. A little yellow. Feel like I need a little more. Shade around here. Shade in here as well. Okay. Use that kind of grayish color yet. Just put in some big shadow lines where they're clamped into the shirt. And then, oh, Lord help me. And over here. Again, this is Conan. If you've ever listened to his episode of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend with Larry David, I know you'll get most of these references. Get some yellow on here again. Cover that a little bit. Okay. I'm going to take another little break here. Let what I have up on here dry some. And we'll be back to do some more work, maybe even finish it up.